Can you believe it? Today is our first official day of 2023. I know this hasn't skipped your brain. I'm sure that you've seen all the social media posts about New Year's resolution and goal setting. And I know that you probably celebrated the ball dropping or you watched all the football bowl games or whatever. But so you know it's the new year. But maybe as you're just settling in to how we really are officially in this new space, this new time, maybe now is when you're officially feeling like, okay, what am I going to do with this next 300, and in our case, 363 days? We have these 12 months ahead of us, like 12 chapters in a book that we get to be the writers of. We are the authors. So, what are we going to do to make this our year? And now, before I get into this, I do want to say if you're someone who prefers audio, this is the exact topic that is over on the Found podcast today. So, if you prefer audio, head over to iTunes or Spotify and look for today's episode of the podcast. Now, I also want to say that I was doing some reading this weekend, and someone I follow online, her name is Kate Northrup. No, I always Google up her name, but I can link to her too. But she talked about how in this space, January, it doesn't always feel like the best time for some of us to set resolutions and to start fresh. For some of us, the wintertime is still this period of hibernation, and we feel like we just want to be at home and cozy, and we're still just feeling it out. And in that post that Kate shared, she said that this is because wintertime is that time of if we think about literally the environment around us, everything goes dormant. We have this blanket of snow, everything under the surface we can't see, but the ground is doing important work so that when the temperature's warm, when the spring sunshine hits, it's ready for growth. So if you are someone who right now just doesn't feel like you're aligned with goal setting and achieving or like change, that's okay. Maybe you're someone who's a little bit more in tune to the actual cycles of seasons. And maybe this is your dormant period where you're still just doing work under the surface. Maybe you're digging deep within in order to spring forward when we get to that season of spring. Now, for those of you who are like, nope, I am in a fresh planner, I am on a fresh calendar, I have fresh goals, my friend. This is for you too. So, when I think about what do I want to do with these next 12 months? What do I want to do with this year of 2023? I reflect back on ways that I've approached New Year's past. And I think about there have been times where I've set big, ambitious, wildly crazy goals. Like if I show you my planner, oh, I already moved it. My planner from last year in January, I had all these circles. I had circles for hydration. Did I meet my water goal each day? I had circles for how many books I read. I was super ambitious. I said I was going to read 5 books a month. I had movement goals. I was trying to track those. I had investment goals, things like that. And I was trying to track all the things because I wanted to kill the shit out of 2022. I was ready for it. But to no surprise of anyone, by the time I got to March, all of those tracking measurements and devices had gone to the wayside. And I was back into some of those day-to-day habits that I had accumulated back at the end of 2021. Because when I set out and set my goals for 2022, I was really action oriented. I was saying, if I change this, then I will become the person that I want to become. If I do this thing, then I will become the person I want to become. And I wasn't focused on those micro actions. I was focused on macro. I was like, I'm going to work out not for 5 minutes a day just to build up stamina. I'm working out for 50. I'm not just going to make sure I get 2 glasses of water. I'm going to make sure I get 8. And so I was really focused on these huge actions and tracking them. But for some of us, including myself, even those trackers aren't the best tools for me. What I've learned, and as in looking back, I am much more successful when I look at where I want to end my year and who is the person I want to become and how do I want to feel? At the beginning of 2019, I was working with a Cultivate What Matters planner. And at the beginning, if you're familiar, it's like a giant planner, it's like 100 pages. And at the beginning is a very comprehensive section where you go through and you audit the year prior and you say, what do I want to change in various categories? So you have categories like home, finance, health, family, friends, personal development, professional development. And in each of these sections, you had to rate yourself on a score of 1 to 10 and itemize what were the things that went well in the past year and what were the things that didn't go so well that I want to change by the time I get to December of this year. And so when I set out with my year in that regard, it really was like when I compare apples to apples, how I set out for 2022 versus 2019. 2022, with all the trackers and the huge actions and the macro, like I'm going to do this, like ambitious approach, that didn't work for me. But when I set out at the beginning of the year and looked where I wanted to be by the end, how did I want to not just achieve, but how did I want to feel? That year was my highest growth in the recent 5 years. Because I think in large part due to the fact that I wasn't focused on what am I going to do? What is the action? How am I going to stack these huge actions every day, every day, every day, which requires so much intention, so much motivation, so much like slog, which isn't always a bad thing, but it just makes it harder to achieve. With this approach in 2019, I said, I gave myself time. I said, by the end of the year, I want to feel. And I remember one of the big things I wanted to feel was like that my house was my haven. And I wanted to feel like my home was cozy. And so through the year, that was kind of one of my guiding points. And I'd say, oh, yeah, it didn't have to be something huge. I didn't have to go and re-buy all of this furniture. But every time I would clean my house, I'd be like, oh, yeah, this is making my house a haven. Or I would like organize the kids' drawers, and that would be part of that. Instead of saying each day I'm going to paint a room a month. But I just said by the end of the year, I wanted my house to feel cozy. And so I could make all of these actions lead up to that, and all of these feelings lead up to that feeling of who I wanted to become and how I wanted to hold myself. So, why do I tell you all of this? Because at the beginning of the year, when we change over to our calendar, I feel like a lot of us do the Molly 2022 approach. I'm going to take these actions in order to institute this change, at which point I will be happy. When that's not really the way that our brain works, that's not really proven to be a demonstrative way to achieve actual lasting resulting change. We need to start with identifying who is the person that I want to be and how do I want to feel at the end of this journey, whether we set a time frame of this journey to be 12 months like a calendar year, or we want this journey to be 6 weeks. If we're doing some kind of course or program, we want to say, who am I becoming in this pursuit? And if you listen to the podcast today, you know that I went into this guided meditation in late in the last year, and I visualized who was the person I was going to be at the end of 2023. And it came through clear, and like I was watching a picture on TV. Like it was wild how I had a clear visualization of who I wanted to be and how she held herself, how she carried herself, how she felt, and just like looking at the way she like physically was. And so that is a guidepost for me on the next 12 months. How do I want to be? So I am that future version of Molly, and that will help me orient my actions and decisions throughout the rest of the year. I'm not saying I'm going to do this each day. I'm saying my goal is to be this future version of me who is healthy, who is confident, who is at peace, who is relaxed, who is not stressed. And what are all those things? Now I'm going to use those to make those micro, monthly, or smaller actions and feelings goals that will lead me to that ultimate person at the end of the year. So as you look ahead and as you continue to be inundated by all of these new year, new you, I want you to not focus on how does the new you act? What are those actions that she or he takes? I want you to say, new year, is it a new me? Or is it just a different version, an evolved version of me by the end of the year? And what are those things I need to prioritize? What are those things I need to get rid of in order to be that person that I know I will become and I want to become by the end of the year? And this isn't always a clean activity. Sometimes this can really feel like you're sludging through mud as you unpack that future version of you. And you can, like, there are so many people out there. And if you're looking for a good guide in this process, please reach out and I'd love to help you connect with the coach or the transformational mentor who can be your guide and your accountability partner through this process. But it really is the way to instill long lasting change. And I remember back in 2015, my friend was getting married at the end of the year. And I was like, I know I want to be the person who looks back on these pictures and says, I was in the best shape of my life. I was feeling my best. I was looking my best. I was doing my best. And so I didn't start a month ahead of that and say, I'm going to exercise and I'm going to eat healthy every day for 1 month. In March, I remember there was a fitness studio that opened in our community, and I said, I'm going to start that. And I took beginning pictures. And on the first of every month, I took a progress photo. And then after this, I found Sweat Inspire Sisterhood, who institutes this like ongoing mentality, progress photos, measurement photos over the long haul. So that was something that really has affected me too. But back to 2015, Molly, I remember like it didn't feel so much in the day to day when I would go to these daily workouts in town, like I was making much progress. I remember I was like, there were certain days I was so sore I could hardly sit down and I couldn't get back up off the couch. And I was like, I don't know if I can go tomorrow, but I knew there were people there who were going to expect me there. So I kept going. And even on the sore days, I kept going. And every day I was like, I don't see much of a change, but every month when I took those progress photos as that mile marker, it was ridiculous the changes that you could see. And I remember not just seeing change in my physical body, seeing how my waist came in, seeing how my shoulders held back, but you could see it in my face. You could see it in my eyes. You could see it in the way I carried myself, even in these still photos, that I not just was achieving physical transformation, but I was building up confidence in myself. I was building up belief in myself. I was building up this can do attitude that I could do these things that I set out to do. And it wasn't these huge, audacious, ambitious goals that I set back when I started the program that got me there. It was the day to day, tiny micro choices that helped me get out of bed, say, I'm not going to let down the people who are there. So I'd show up. And just in those day to day, consistent actions, keeping ahead of myself who I wanted to become by the end of the year, that's how I made this big change. And when it was something that was over the long term, it not only helped me get to my goals, but it helped me keep that front and center long past my goal date of the end of the year, too. So, as you look ahead, my challenge to you for the year is to say, who am I going to become? And this could be personally, this could be professionally, this could be spiritually, financially, as a mom, as a sister, as a friend. Who are you going to become by year end? And I welcome you to think about and visualize that person you see when you ring in New Year 2024. And what are those micro actions that will get you there in the next 12 months? Now, if you have professional goals, marketing is going to be a big conversation point in 2023 because things are changing and evolving so much in the digital sphere. So if you need assistance, if you need help with your digital marketing, whether it's graphic design, websites, social media marketing, I would love to have a conversation with you. You can reach out Molly at mollyknuthmedia.com or head over to mollyknuthmedia.com/shop and you can check out our ongoing offers. We've got Content Confident, which offers you a content plan, social media prompts, templates, all the things each month for a monthly subscription, or you can buy the annual plan. We also have self-guided courses for Instagram called Evolve, and Business Bootcamp, which helps you take your business idea from a dream to a plan on page reality. So you can check out all of those offers at mollyknuthmedia.com/shop, or you can reach out to me, Molly, at mollyknuthmedia.com if you want some one-on-one question asking, and we will get a discovery call scheduled. All right, guys, I wish you all the best as we stare down and really start working towards that future better version of ourselves together in 2023.